with what's going on in the country right now, and I was urging people to look inwards, to look at ourselves, to look in the mirror, and speak to the younger generation about our what we know of the world and how the world works and how the United States works also. How what we have to explain things to the children because our children and and our grandchildren be to avoid mistakes that we made in the past. When 911 happened in this country, I wish we had the awareness as a country that we have now on world events and why things happen the way they do, and our role as a country in America in what happens in other people's lives. What triggered my need to speak up about the situation right now is, of course, the current deterioration in our civil rights. We see that every day. Um, Today, I'm very upset that I heard that Don Lemon, who I consider a national treasure, has been arrested. That upset me right off the bat this morning. I turned off everything. I turned off everything and decided to just come here and share some thoughts. Um, I said we can't have our moms, young mothers, young fathers being mistreated in any way out there in those streets. And I'm fully aware it's not like this is new. It's not like this is different. It is different in many ways. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. It is, but it's not new. Uh, People have been mistreated on these streets of this country for a long, long, long time. Uh, what I'm seeing online a lot is people reacting to the latest events by reminding other people, that this has been going on. We have to acknowledge that we have to acknowledge the history of this country, the recent history, the less recent history. We have to acknowledge that. We have to know what we're talking about. We have to talk to the kids and explain that this is a pattern that's been in existence. We have to talk about the dark side of this country. You know, um, we always end up paying for our sins one way or another. We do. And as a country, we have to face the past. We have to face everything that we've done since the founding fathers. Since the founding fathers. And before that. And before that, it's always been about violence. It's always been about dominating other people. It's always been about taking away land from people who've been there for centuries. These things matter. These things matter. And then, you decide that this one group of people is going to rule over everybody else. And you devise a system to ensure that that's the case. And when the demographics start looking a little bit threatening, maybe to some, then you resort to force again, and violence again, and division. So sure, yes, there's a lot of resentment in this country built up over generations. I mean, you know, we this country was invaded, land was taken away from its rightful owners. People were enslaved in this country. People were kept as slaves in this country for the longest time. those human beings who were enslaved, they had to fight so hard, so hard, so hard, so hard for so long under such oppression. Imagine people, human beings, were enslaved in this country. So, yeah, I'm not mad at anybody who now says, listen, they're killing these young mothers and fathers out there in those streets now, but where were you when they were killing our young mothers, our young fathers out there in those streets? Where were you? I, for one, have always been there. You know, that's my whole thing. And I hope we still have to we still have to talk to each other. You know, in a way, having come here close to 40 years ago. Yeah, on some level, I'm part of that. I'm part of that wave of people who've come here and lived here on sacred land that was taken away from its rightful owners. I'm aware of that on a daily basis. And as far as the enslavement of people from the continent of Africa, you know, that's to me that's the biggest kind of sin, other than mass killing children, if you will. Okay? Other than that, mass killing innocents, whew, enslaving people, stealing them from their families, the young ones, treating them like animals and cattle. Yeah, there is no there's no words. It's all emotions. When I start thinking about these things, I went to Gorée, the island of Gorée in Senegal. I visited enslavement ports in Benin, West Africa. I went all the way to Tombouctou in Mali, and I spent time in the rainforest in Central Africa. A lot, a lot of time underground. Gorée, I get that same feeling standing there, looking at the ocean and imagining these young men. A lot of them were men, women, children. They were stolen. We can't forget these things. And then God knows, after that, after the horrific trip, the lives of generation of people were treated like cattle. We cannot forget about that. There's not one day that we spend on this country, in this country, that we are not praying for all those souls, all of them. The Native Americans that we did wrong, the African Americans, descendants of formerly enslaved people. We need to be kissing their feet on the daily. On the daily, we need to be kissing their feet on the daily and asking for forgiveness. That's what we should be doing. But we're not doing that. We're not doing that as a country. No, not doing that. And so, the older generation, as far as I'm concerned, we have a lot of responsibility to, to calm things down quite a bit. Whoever has a child in their 40s, like I do, and grandchildren, they are looking at us. They are. They're judging us. They're not happy with what's going on. It's either they're not happy or they're scared. And when you're scared, you're not happy either. But either they're angry or fearful, the children. And these are, I'm talking about the children who are in their 40s, our children. They're confused. Everything, the ground is shaking under their feet. They don't know what they can plan for anything. All they can do is be worried about this, popping off, stuff happening all over the place. You know, everybody running around, not knowing what's up. Yeah, older people, we have a responsibility. We have to speak on these issues. I'm sorry, we do, because a lot of what's going on now is didn't just happen overnight. This is an accumulation of things. An accumulation of bad things leads to distress as a society. And then when that society is not healthy within itself, it starts projecting outside, just like humans do all the time. It starts projecting. And we need to stop all of this. We really do. We need to speak up, guys. We need to make sure we have elections again. And then we need to make sure we vote this time the right way. I'm totally disenfranchised politically. I have zero interest in the current whatsoever. Maybe we need the old people's party. How about that? Let's do an old people's party. Yeah, the old generation party. All we care about is our kids and our grandkids, okay? We want them to be safe. We want them to feel safe. We want them to get along with people. We want them to have the values, humane values. There's no reason why our children should be going through this. Absolutely not. So let's do something about it, is how I feel. Older generation party, how about that? Huh? Think about it. All right. Yeah.